Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch. That's Randy Buehler, and I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and we are ready and excited to bring you coverage here of round number 2, our second round of draft. We're going to do 3, so we're moving our way right through. Let's head into the feature match area for round number 2. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler. There's no place I'd rather be on a Friday morning here than commentating some draft. And we've got 2 great players in our feature match area. On our main match, we have Shi Tian from Team MTG Mint Card.
Who everyone has to have penciled into their top 8, right?
You have to.
All he
It's
does
a
is top
PT.
8 modern Pro Tours.
Yeah, and he's got to, put together the limited portion here too, but we just know he's going to win a bunch in modern. His opponent, Hall of Famer Eric Froehlich. Take a look at Efro there as he patiently awaits the beginning of his match. And let's take a look as we get going. Looks like Eric's the one who won the die roll here. He starts off with a swamp, and I see he's also got some mountains in his deck.
Yeah,
so
he's black-red.
I would assume that he would be black-red devoid. That seems to be the best version.
I'm guessing from the Flare drone in his hand that's what he's up to.
Yeah.
Deck list just got here. We saw Eric in Vancouver last weekend. Rattled off 5 wins in this format before then losing his win-in for top 8. That bumped him up to number 3 in the top 25 rankings. Swap spots with Paolo.
Shi Tian still on that ranking sheet as well. Here,
interesting. He
is
goes,
Sears Lantern for
Sears
Froehlich.
Lantern over Flare Drone. This turns on turn 4 Cinder Hellion.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It also plays around any removal that Shi Tian may have left up there. It's going to be a Vampire Envoy as the first addition to the board.
Boy, Cinder Hellion is a lot bigger than Vampire Envoy.
Yes. In fact, it's just the right size. So 2 damage is going to hit Shi Tian there.
Second Cinder Hellion queued up for next turn from Efro.
Yeah, you got problems here, Shi Tian. You've already got a 4/4 facing you down. He's going to go ahead and get in with the Vampire Envoy. That's going to gain him a life. Froehlich's going to lose a life.
Yeah, I saw Lee's opener. He kept 2 lands. He kept Swamp, but things have come
Havoc
together
Sower.
reasonably.
By the way, Randy, Havoc Sower. That card's good. Way better than I thought when I first saw it. I thought, okay,
it looks
cool.
like a hill giant.
It pumps up. Yeah, it's like maybe you'll make him a little bigger sometimes. You can make that thing a lot bigger sometimes. It does not have a limit to how many times you can do it. And this was your prediction, by the way, Randy, from before, is just following up a Cinder Hellion with another Cinder Hellion. And that's, in fact, exactly what happens here. So Eric, by skipping the turn 3 Flare Drone, has really set himself up nicely now with 8 power and 4 incidental damage already having hit Shi Tian.
I agree with you on these colorless creatures. Because like Shrieker has that same thing Havoc Sower has, where it plays better than it looks. Part of that is that you can activate those abilities multiple times. Part of that is it just kind of adds up to good stats, even when you only activate it once.
It's funny, looking back on it, it makes perfect sense from a design standpoint because remember, that colorless mana, that isn't free.
No, not at all.
Right? And so if I'm designing a card, right, I'm saying, if we're going to ask people to play lands that don't produce colored mana in a deck that wants those,
and
we should
draft
reward
lands
them.
that produce colorless mana too.
So it makes sense. And the payoff's definitely there for the Havoc Sower and the Eldrazi Shrieker and all that stuff. Now, Lee's got an interesting situation here because he's got a stacked hand. Look at his hand.
Yep.
A lot of action there, but he needs to start mitigating the board state here from Eric. And it looks like he's going to kick things off with an attack with both. He does have the 1 waste sitting there that can pump up the Havoc Sower. And look at that stare down from Shi Tian. What are you going to do, Eric? Dare you to block.
Yeah, you can't block there, right?
Nope. And Eric agrees. He says, no problem.
I think Eric got the read of, you really don't want me to block? I don't think you want to spend your mana this way, but he can't throw away Cinder Hellion.
If we're at damage, you've missed that trigger.
All right, so we've already hit damage. What they were talking about was the life gain
Oh.
trigger. And if we're already at damage, as you heard the judge say, that means you missed it. So Lee's not going to get a chance to gain the life there. We'll see if that matters down the line.
Pass? What is he sitting on? Tar snare?
He does have tar snare.
Oh, he has unity of purpose, too.
He does. Unity of Purpose gets a lot of work done here.
It
and
really
he's going
does.
to cast it. So he's going to support 2 and then untap all creatures he controls with a +1/+1 counter on them. That lets him block 1 with the now 2/5 Vampire Envoy, and it also lets him trade if he'd like with his Havoc Sower for the other one, as it's now a 4/4. He also may keep it around.
Yeah, it looks like he's only going to make the 1 block.
It does look like that.
Havoc Sower
This is a
beats up
huge
Cinder
turning
Hellions
point.
if he waits until he has colorless mana.
That's right. This is a huge turning point, though. He does have to mind his life total. He doesn't want to let it get too low. And with 5 cards in hand, all spells, he may just trade. He does decide to trade. I think that's a close decision there for Shi Tian. But he'd like to just clear the board off and see if Eric has any great follow-up play here.
Yeah, I think if he knew that Eric was holding not 1, but 2 copies of Flare Drone, he'd be even more interested in trading.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Flare drone, and of course the first one triggers the second one. Or I should say that the other way. The second one triggers the first one. So down to 12 for Shi Tian.
Yeah, I think if Lee was at 8, he'd be feeling super scared.
All right, we've got a match update as well on the King of the Hill. Darwin Castle is up a game over Robert Stan.
Oh, wow.
So we'll keep an eye on that one for you to see if Darwin can stay in the castle. All right, so what's the play here, Lee? Lee comes from Hong Kong, and he's kind of the de facto leader of the MTG Mint card crew. Huang Haoshan, also from Chinese Taipei, is sort of the stalwart on that team as well. They're both always on, and then the rest kind of rotate through as they see who is qualified. We know that Shi Tian has a decorated history since we've started doing modern Pro Tours. I'm sure he was happy to see when one of them came back.
Sure.
He has crushed them. Remember the Blue Moon deck?
Oh, yeah.
Top 8'd with that. Yeah, Lee has a real knack for modern. All right, and this is going to be a Tar Snare to take down one of the Flare Drones. And it does look like Shi Tian's gained control of this this match so far here. I mean, Eric's not out of it, but he's down to 1 card in hand.
Yeah, if he wins this game, I think it's going to be on the back of Seer's Lantern. Just having the game go long enough for those scries to add up to spells.
Gravity Negator here for Shi Tian means that he may have a way to get in for damage later on as a finisher. And now we're going to see Eric start activating his Seer's Lantern for the scry effect. This is sort of the nice, he was able to use it to ramp out a couple of 5-mana spells, and now he gets the ability to scry every turn for the low cost of 2 mana. He's decided to keep that one on top, and that was interesting because Eric really thought about that. He looked at it, put it back, and thought, wow, do I really want that? And yes, the answer is I do. The good news for Eric Froehlich's side of the table is that Lee hasn't really been able to amass much of an offensive yet. The Misintruder looks a lot worse in this type of game. It's just gotten a lot worse than it was. Since ingest process is really a rarity these times, now that we have Oath of the Gatewatch in the format.
Eric drew Unnatural Endurance. So he's able to attack in with his 4/4. Wow, is Lee lining up a double block? Would like to kill it, is willing to trade one of his creatures for it.
It's a lot of toughness he's putting in front of that thing. And it looks like Eric's going to just put the...
Yeah, Eric would rather kill the Envoy.
Yeah, well, he's got unnatural endurance here, though. And that's going to mean that he's going to trade his 1 mana trick here for the big Envoy. So that actually works out pretty well for Eric.
Yeah.
Also, now his 4/4 Cinder Hellion is able to start attacking. Umara Entangler probably isn't going to prevent much of that either. So this is starting to come back around for Eric now. As while Lee has done a good job of stabilizing the board, he has yet to find a way to really turn the tides and start getting the job done here against Froehlich. And Eric's going to activate his Seer's Lantern yet again. I believe that Lee, yeah, he's got a Spatial Contortion in his hand. You can see that on the right-hand side of the screen there. And he's been patiently waiting on that. Upkeep Scry. So bottom, and then take a look at this one. Oh, he's going to keep that one. This is not good news for Shi Tian. Eric has 1 mountain in his hand, so he has a spell.
It's Grave Birthing.
Well, I guess he figures that's a spell. That draws
yeah.
a spell. All right, looks like Eric is going to go ahead and get in there with the Cinder Hellion once again. No great blocks here for Lee. He really does have to deal with this thing. If he double blocks here, he's basically guaranteeing that he gets to kill the Cinder Hellion one way or another through the contortion or just the double block itself. So it looks like Spatial Contortion is going to go ahead and hit Flare Drone here, which is going to activate the Prowess ability on the Umara Entangler. And there's going to be a Grave Birthing in response here from Froehlich. He's looking to get a Flare Drone trigger here. Every single life point counting. By the way, I can tell you that our floor reporter, Tim Willoughby, just said that Owen Turtenwald just activated Chandra.
Wow.
In his match. So, yowza. I don't think I'd like to face down Owen with cards of that power level. We'll be bringing you match updates as they come in as well in our feature match area. And it looks like outnumber here for
That was the
Eric.
card off the Grave Birthing.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the other reason to keep Grave Birthing. It's like, well, I could just draw the top card, or I could like cycle my way into it.
Jeez,
Mid-combat, prowess trigger on the stack. Here's an outnumber.
Eric Froehlich just getting the job done. Oh, here's a 5-mana spell, though, from Lee. What does he have here? Something that can block? He's got a Kozilek's Translator. And yes, that is something that can block. So is he going to start attacking with this Mist Intruder just to start at least pecking away for some damage? It looks like he's getting there. There was a follow-up play, Randy, to the Chandra. It was Rolling Thunder to finish things off. So
Owen's deck sounds nice.
Owen's deck sounds real nice. Skitter Skin here for Froehlich. And he's just going to have to pass a turn back here. But he has assembled a board that can start attacking next turn into the Translator. He's going to scry on his upkeep again. Put that on the bottom, trying to find himself some action. By the way, that Seer's Lantern has been so good this game.
Yeah.
Take a look at Eric, the Hall of Famer. And he's going to pass the turn back. The double block potential just from the Mist Intruder plus the Kozilek's Translator is enough to hold back the board of Eric Froehlich here. This has been a really good game.
Yeah, he's not under a lot of pressure. I mean, the game going long just helps him because he's the one who gets to scry every turn.
Yeah. And he keeps putting cards on the bottom. He's got that one unknown card in hand. Looks like a pair of lands. And he just calmly passes a turn back. And still another pass of the turn here. And like you said, Randy, Eric, look at this. That's 3 cards that went to the bottom. And while Eric hasn't been able to find a lot of action in the interim, imagine if he had to draw those 3 cards here. He would just be sitting there staring at a whole handful of nothing. All right, what did he find?
Reaver drone.
All right, well, that wasn't exactly what he had in mind, but he has amassed a nice little army here.
Yeah, he'll be happy to have that guy on.
He's got Shi Tian down to 8 life.
He'll be happy to have that guy on the attack once it comes time to start attacking. I mean, Shi Tian is at 8.
He's at 8. By the way, that's 4 scry to the bottoms there for Eric. So he is just churning through the top of his library, trying to find his big action spells.
Looks like he may have found one.
Uh-oh. The last few turns, he didn't say the word combat.
True.
This time, he's jamming with the team here. So the Reaver drone and the Scion are getting in, as well as the Skitter Skin and the Cinder Hellion. So everybody into the red zone.
I mean, at this point, Shi Tian has the double block on Cinder Hellion available to him. But if he does that...
At the cost of going to 1?
Yeah, he takes 7 damage if he makes that play. So Eric's gone wide enough that he's happy to just turn him sideways.
And I'll tell you what, this black-red deck has a lot of ways to get in that last point of damage, even not through combat. All right, he did make the double block, and he goes down to 1. Does Eric have a way to finish him right now?
How about Matter Reshaper?
Matter Reshaper's nice. Mainly just because of the body here. He just wants to be able to attack through even like an additional creature from Shi Tian and finish off this game 1 here. Does look beautiful, all shiny there too, I have to say. All right, well, it's a Dominator drone, but this is why he played that Reshaper. He can now just rumble in for the victory even through, you know, a removal spell or something along those lines.
I think Lee may have an adverse conditions in his hand, though.
Okay.
Which will, in fact, buy him a turn.
That would buy him a turn. Yeah. All right, tap down your 2 biggest things, and that means that the others are not going to be able to get in. So did Eric find some action? Interesting. Adverse conditions also gives Shi Tian an additional chump blocker. Oh, he did find action. Mauve Kozilek comes down. And once again, really starts putting the threat on Shi Tian, who finds another translator. Wow, we've got a real game here.
Well, I mean, he's up to 4 blockers, and Eric's guys are locked down for a turn.
They're locked down for a turn, so he needs to find another blocker. Right. Eric has 5 available attackers. I would assume that effectively any spell. Yeah, this turn he doesn't, but next turn. I would assume almost any spell would be good for him. And this could be Shi Tian checking the graveyard, assuming
what do I need to play around in game 2?
Go well, yes. Yeah. since Eric did keep it on top, but he just passes the turn back. All right, so Lee needs to find a blocker, removal spell or something right now to not just die to an all-out attack next turn from Eric. Does he have it? No, he just says land go. Eric has lethal
right
on
at the
board.
bottom.
Drew
it land
swamp.
anyway.
Oh, Visions of Brutality. It no longer can block, and now Eric is surely just going to attack with everything and finish the game off. Wow, what a great back-and-forth game.
Yeah,
Shi Tian just never quite could turn the corner and get control. So game 1's going to go to Eric Froehlich. We'll be back right after these messages.
Outfit your Magic collection with the newest Oath of the Gatewatch accessories from Ultra Pro. You can see the full array of card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios of your favorite Magic artwork at ultrapro.com. Friday Night Magic has expanded to include all formats. Get ready for Commander, Legacy, or even Conspiracy drafts. Check out your local store for details and share your FNM stories by using the hashtag MTGFNM. Visit magic.wizards.com/FNM for more information.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Atlanta. Let's jump over to one of our side tables here where we have, well, we mentioned it earlier, Owen Turtenwald versus Patrick Dickmann. And Owen apparently has drafted himself a real nice one here, because the two cards that we heard about were Chandra and Rolling Thunder, so not bad. Owen
Blue red,
Turtenwald,
so Surge shenanigans as well. You see one Jwara Isle Avenger already in play. I think there's another one in his hand.
It's also a sweep away in the graveyard. You can see he's playing a bit of the tempo game here. In the meantime, though, Dickmann looks like he's in a reasonable position here. Is that Zada's Commando on the battlefield, or is it just kind of hanging out there?
Geez.
Oh, is that Rolling Thunder? All right, and that was his graveyard. Oh, no. Rolling Thunder wipes away everything else, and it's just Weapons Trainer that's been coiled up here. And not a bad follow-up here, although I assume that Patrick would love to see a few more land drops hit, but Valakut Predator will get some damage in. All right, and a nice follow-up with another Jwar Isle Avenger. Land off the top for Dickmann? Yes. Yes, indeed. That thing into a 4/4 so it can get in for some damage here, but he's going to have to do some damage control in the skies, because that is a nice quick clock for Turtenwald. Just 3 turns, and maybe even 2 if he can add another creature to the board that can get in for a point. That is going to be a Munda. He's actually not going to trigger it, it looks like, and he's just going to go ahead and rumble with both. Now we've got a real race. That's 7 damage that Owen Turtenwald just took, and he's down to 10.
Flyers attack.
Yeah, down to 7, but that one extra turn may prove critical here if Dickmann can keep drawing lands off the top of his library. He does not, though. I believe that was a sheer drop. Is that what you saw, Randy?
I didn't see it.
You couldn't see it? Yeah, it was a little bit at an angle. We'll keep an eye on it, though. It does look like maybe we've got a mulligan from Eric on our main match. You can see that one on the upper right-hand side of your screen. We're just sort of passively keeping an eye on that one as we watch our other match here.
Sounds like we have our first final from the feature match area this round as well. Martin Yuza winning 2-0 over Brian Kibler.
It's a tough start for Kibler. He's 0-2 with his deck here.
Choose not to use a trigger.
So the reason Patrick's not using his Munda trigger is he wants to draw lands.
Yeah.
That means he does not want to put any allies on top of his library here. And here's a nice big attack from Turtenwald. He's attempting to put Patrick Dickmann all the way down to 1 and maybe 0 depending on what he has in his hand. This is going to be a sweep away, or?
His mana doesn't cast that.
Isn't that an Unknown Shores there?
Yeah, but he tapped the white for the creature.
For the
He'd need a 4th
cliffside
mana
lookout.
to get blue and
see what
2.
he's got then. Mighty Leap.
Mighty Leap.
It looks like he's just going to try to trade the Cliffside Lookout and Mighty Leap. Ouch.
Yeah.
For one of the 3/3s. All right, well, why don't we jump back to our main match here. It looks like we're already underway here on turn 2, and I want to make sure that we keep up on that seesaw battle between Eric Froehlich and Shi Tian. Eric's up a game here. No plays yet from Eric. But Cultivator Drone and Misintruder here. Wow. This is a nice little curve out here from Shi Tian. Even though he's missing his land drop, he's able to use that Cultivator Drone to power out a Gravity Negator here on turn 4 and sort of keep things flowing. Eric did have a play on turn 3, but it wasn't exciting. It was just a Grave Birthing to draw a card and make a Scion. He really does need to add something to the board this turn to keep things moving in the right direction for him. And he does. He finds a Flare Drone. That's going to do a nice job. I wonder if Lee's going to take a relatively aggressive route here and try to just start hammering Eric in the air.
Sure looks like an option.
It does. It's just since he's crimped on mana,
Right. How valuable is the colorless mana? That becomes the
Exactly.
real question.
Because if he wants to take that line, he's effectively taking 2 mana away, and it looks like he's not going to. So he's going to settle for 3 damage in the air here. Could have been 5, but it would have taken way too much of his mana. All right, well, we do have a result from that match we were just watching. Owen Turntenwald does win that match 2-0. Dickmann 1 land short.
Yeah, it sounds like he needed to trigger landfall on the last turn to win the race. Couldn't draw the land, so Owen got it done, 2-0.
All right,
It also sounds like Darwin Castle has held on to King of the Hill. Darwin defeating, was that Robert Stan?
yeah. Yep, Robert Stan.
Yeah, he's first Pro Tour ever. That's a Magic Online PTQ winner. He actually plays Vintage on Magic Online. I've played him a couple times. He's Oars MTGO. Wrote a nice tournament report on his preparation for this event, too. First Pro Tour ever.
All right, well, Vampire Envoy number 1 died to Demon's Grasp, but Shi Tian has an immediate follow-up Vampire Envoy as well, and that Vampire Envoy just does such good work against a Flare Drone. And Eric's going to have to settle for a Cinder Hellion and do 2 damage to you and pass. Nothing else to do here. Man, these Vampire Envoys are really annoying for Eric's deck, though the Cinder Hellion's a nice addition. He'll be able to rumble. Wow, Shi Tian is looking to close this game out, and quickly. And he's going to do it next turn if Eric doesn't find something here. That's going to put Eric down to 4. And the Sky attacks, yeah, are going to do it. Wow. So Shi Tian played a much different game plan that time, just putting up a bunch of flyers, basically, and able to keep attacking while Eric struggled to add anything relevant to the board. And Shi Tian wins game 2 in impressive fashion, so that's going to force a game 3. Both of these players are 1-0 with these draft decks so far. You can see Owen Turntenwald grabbing his jacket and heading out. And there's Patrick Dickmann there, down in the feature.
What time did this round start? How are we down to 1 match in the feature match area
That
already?
was blazing fast.
There's 23 minutes left in the round.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be quite this fast. I don't know if this is starting to add up to meaningful data yet, but
But we've had 2 rounds that have gone quicker than you expected.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in contrast to what we saw at the Grand Prix, which were, well, there were some fast decks, but I wouldn't describe it as a super fast format in general. Could be the case that the good decks are, though. I know that 2 of my top 3 archetypes are pretty assertive.
Yep.
Red, white, and green, white.
Yeah, and it seems like the good control deck is kind of the blue-black deck, which is tricky. You have to sort of thread the needle in the draft. You have to draft both the good cards and then get the colorless lands and.
Yes.
Seems like people prefer I'm just going to summon a bunch of creatures, and then whether it's support or cohort, you get some nice mechanics to make them even more powerful than they start out.
It's so much more forgiving in the draft.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like when you get the good pieces set up in pack 1, when you go to pack 2, you're like, I'd prefer to have the good creatures, but I'll take anything at this casting cost, right? When you play the other decks, you're like, well, I need to find some colorless lands and know when to prioritize those.
Right. Oh, and now here's the Blinding Drone, but this is the pack that has the Crumbling Vestige. I can only take one of them. The other one's not coming back.
And sometimes somebody else is in it, and then you're just, ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems risky to draft the colorless deck, or riskier anyway.
Yeah. All right, we are underway in game 3 between Eric Froehlich and Shi Tian. Not a lot of action in the early stages. This is kind of how this has been playing out. Slaughter Drone for Lee. And good start here for Eric with Flare Drone. Oh, geez. Ancient Crab does really good work against Eric's deck in general, because what we saw was cards like Flare Drone from Eric, and then the response was Vampire Envoy, and then the response back in the other direction.
Visions of Brutality.
That is going to get some damage in there. He also managed to get a Seer's Lantern on the battlefield that turn as well.
That's like Trump and counter Trump.
Yeah, I like it, because then it was 4/4 Cinder Hellions to get by your Vampire Envoys.
Right.
And Lee's like, oh, yeah.
I can stop that. Let me go to my
do
sideboard. I'm
1
guessing
5.
it came in from the sideboard.
I think so, too. Yeah.
It's a smart play, sideboarding an
very
Ancient
smart.
Crab in this matchup.
Slaughter Drone gets in for a couple of damage, and another Ancient Crab for Lee. Wow. Does Eric have another answer? He asked Lee how many cards he has in his hand. Maybe he's going to witness the end.
Picks up a land. Burns down a crab.
Was Devouring Flames there? I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. All right, so Crab down, and hey, sometimes you do what you got to do to keep the beats rolling, and wow, they really are. Another Flare Drone. Does Shi Tian have another one-powered, high-toughness creature to keep the beats from flowing? No, but he's got a Kozilek's Translator, which is just fine.
So yes, sort of.
Yeah, how about a higher power one? And, of course, the Slaughter Drone, no attack since the Flare Drone has first strike. Oh, it's Oblivion Strike, though, from Eric. This has been such a great back and forth. Lee has done such a good job of keeping the defenses up, and Eric has had an answer for every single one.
I mean, if you can
Crunch.
draft the deck, which is just Flare Drones and removal spells,
I like
seems
it.
like a fine place to be.
Visions of Brutality, Devouring Flames in now. Oblivion Strike to clear the way. Now, I did see that Shi Tian does have a Tar Snare in his hand, so he can take care of one of these. He wanted to be more mana efficient that turn, but he's taken a hit here. Take it all. Go down to 7.
Wow.
Yeah, chump blocking there with the drone, with the Slaughter Drone does seem not amazing. Eric is down to 1 card, so if Lee can once again stabilize this board, he may be able to finally hold off the Flare Drone assault here. Though, once again, just like in earlier games, we're going to see Seer's Lantern really shine here as we enter the mid to late stages of the game. What's going to be Lee? Shields up. That's not really what he wants here, but it does. He does get a chance to block, and he has the Tar Snare available. So it's not the end of the world. They just don't tussle well with the Flare Drones, since the Flare Drones have first strike. A lot of power in these gold cards.
Yeah, that looks like a chump block and a Tar Snare.
Yeah. Lee's trying to turn the tables on Eric, but it's not working so far. And he's got a Skitter Skin, but there's going to be a response. Lee's going to fire this off now so that he doesn't lose 2 life just from the Skitter Skin entering the battlefield. He still loses 1. And Lee immediately snaps off a chump block there with the token. Lee's thinking he's going to want to keep that Slaughter Drone up to block here. Else he dies unless he's got something else pretty sweet.
I think he's holding Colostrian Nightwatch.
Okay.
I mean, at 4/5, it's actually in a decent spot for this board. Yeah, there it is.
It's in a good spot. Yeah, that's really nice here. Eric does have to find something. He can either find just like a string of colorless creatures and like a point of damage somewhere, or he needs to find a removal spell. Let's see what he finds. It's been a really good match between these two. Super fun to watch.
He drew Complete Disregard.
Huh. So it doesn't quite do
No, it
what he
doesn't
wants
kill the
it to
Night
do.
Watch. Good card, though.
You hear that?
He asked
Said
if it was a
card?
good one.
Is it good? All right, well, he is going to go ahead and take out the slaughter drone here. And he's just going to jam in there with both, say, take 4, go down to 2. How is he going to finish him off from here?
Wow.
2 lands in hand
Throws
for
away.
Shi
I mean, the
Tian.
flare drone is how you finish somebody off from here, right?
Yeah.
He's just relying on Sears Lantern.
Just to find him action, and here we go. That one goes to the bottom. Wouldn't be surprised to see an upkeep lantern here. He's not going to do it, though. He's going to draw his card.
Yeah, he did that last game, too, where...
Conserve his mana.
Yeah, he was hoping to draw something expensive and play it right away. But winds up drawing a
Cinder
land.
Barons, sure.
Yeah, he either needs 2 damage or a way to clear Colostrian Night Watch.
Yeah.
Either one wins in the game.
Yeah, I really like his play here, though, because, you know, by putting Lee to 2, he's effectively nullified the Night Watch. And there it is, Cinder Hellion. He finds it, 2 damage to the head. That's a nice, clean way to get an extra 2 in. He's probably got 2 or 3 of those floating around in his list. And Eric Froehlich defeats Shi Tian here in round 2 to stay undefeated at 2-0 and hand Lee his first loss of the tournament. Still early.
He's going to win all the modern rounds. That's what he does.
I think he's feeling the pressure. I saw him out on the floor, and I mentioned, like, hey, it's your modern. He's like, yeah, I know. It's kind of like, I think a lot of people have probably said that to him, over the recent last couple of days.
He's 3 for 4.
Yeah, he's absurd at modern. I'm really curious to see what he's running.
Yeah, me too.
That's going to be, of course, one of the storylines is taking a look at him. And we also saw Patrick Dickman down in the feature match area here for the booster draft, considered a modern specialist by some as well.
But, I mean, most of his reputation was based on Splinter Twin decks.
That's true. His Tarmo Twin list that he popularized and had some success with.
And Tempo Twin was his before that, too. I mean, he's innovated the Twin archetype multiple times. And, Grand Prix results, Pro Tour Top 8. But what's he playing this weekend?
So we get to see if he was actually a twin specialist or if he's actually a modern specialist.
Find out in a couple hours.
Across the board. Yeah. So one more round of draft is going to be coming up to you next, though. This round ended pretty quickly, so we're going to have a little bit of time in between. And I know we've got a bunch of cool features coming up. The ones I've really liked are the ones with Brian and the camera that kind of follows him around as he works his way through Pro Tour testing houses, through the event site here. The rig for that, I've just blown
Jack's
away.
getting a workout.
You have to hold it up like this, and it kind of holds the camera, and it has gyroscopes that are power gyroscopes that hold the Anyway, that's how we can get some of those really cool flowing shots that we've gotten. And I
liked it, though.
I've seen a couple of them that are coming up too, and they are really neat. And,
you've already seen the Pantheon stuff?
I've seen, they showed that, and I've seen a couple of the others, and they're really, really cool. And also, I can't promise anything, but I did see BDM kind of flying around while we were doing that last round, so maybe they're working on one right now. I don't know. I'm going to go find out after the round's over. But anyway,
stay here and hope for more Pantheon features.
Yeah. Those have been really
You've
cool
already
too.
seen them. That's why you take your headset off between rounds.
Yeah.
Just you're watching coverage.
I don't know if I actually turn it. I can turn it up the volume on the headset so I can still hear everything. Yeah, but it just you got to give the ears a break.
But there's coverage to watch. I can't
Yeah.
not watch Pro Tour coverage.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody at home agrees with Randy on that one. So one more round of booster draft to go here. Anything shaping up for you, Randy, that you've seen, as we kind of head in? It feels a little faster, but sample size is small.
Yeah, it actually feels like the R&D got the flavor right, that in the first set, it was the Eldrazi side of the war that was winning, and it was big, and it was scary, and the Devoid decks were the best decks. And the Zendikari have struck back in Oath of the Gatewatch, right? It's the support decks.
I have an awkward question.
Okay.
Who wins? I should know. I know I'm supposed to know.
So the Oath, the 4 Planeswalkers decide they're going to defend Zendikar from the Eldrazi. I mean, the Zendikari kind of
they
hold
shoo them away.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Put them in a
of course going to
Hedron.
be hooks.
I'm asking Randy Bueller for different flavors.
I just like the fact that the Zendikari have made their stand.
They have.
They've taken their oath. They've made their stand. Things are looking better.
This is great. I'm going to do this again to you now.
Thanks so much to Marshall Sutcliffe there and Randy Buehler with all the flavour information you could possibly want. Now, a few results to give you then. Luke Froehlich of the United States is up to 1-1. That means Jacob Wilson, Pro Tour finalist in this modern format, is 0-2. Gadenis Vidugiris, he was up against Dan Musser at 1-0. They're both still going in their game 3. Shuhei Nakamura is at 2-0. That means Luis Scott Vargas falls to 1-1. He'll be really disappointed if he won twos with that terrific draft deck we saw first thing this morning. And Arthur Vilela of Brazil, he's now at 0-2 because John Finkel is underway at 1-1. That was in our main feature pod. The second table we've been looking at, Owen Turtenwoud, you know, is 2-0 as a result. That means Patrick Dittman's 1-1. Zach Elsick, the Lantern control player in modern historically, he drew his first round. He was up against George Burrow of England in round 2. They're still going. Mike Sigrist at 1-0 faced the other draw player, Maciej Janik. And Michael Bonder, he's underway. He's at 1-1 over Michael Keating. Keating is at 0-2 and will play to avoid the 0-3 sweep in the pod next round. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of minutes left in the round. You can see on your top left of your screens there. So I wonder how many people are still going. Well, if we take a look at Skycam, I imagine there's a fair few tables still going because there you see the hall. And as we sweep right to left, I wonder if we can spot a wild Brian David Marshall. BDM, what's going on out on the floor?
Okay, Rich, I am sitting here. I'm watching a match between Antonio Del Moral Leon, the Pro Tour champion, versus Alan Comer, the Pro Tour Hall of Famer. And you know what? We've talked a lot about how black-white is an archetype that people want to be in this draft format. Both players are in black-white. Both players have colostry healers on the table. Both players are making allies. But Alan Comer, one of the things we've seen happen a lot is players going into a third color because that color combination in particular is being so fought over, and this is the players are running out of cards. Jiraga Auxiliary is trying to break the stalemate for Alan Comer, who has gone into green for a couple of key allies to fortify his position, and he's hoping to take down the Pro Tour champion. That's what's happening out here right now on the floor.
To Brian David Marshall, you saw Kai Buddha still playing just on the far left of screen there. So that's what's going on there. Now, Marshall said that camera was so cool first round. A lot of you tweeted in and wrote to us and said, hey, you know what? We loved seeing the front of the hall, but what's going on behind the curtain? Well, you ask, we deliver. So here's BDM earlier this round as he took you on an exclusive backstage tour. It's time for round 2 of Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch.
Thanks, Rich. I'm going to run out. I'll be back in time for round 3, but I'm going to go do a little quick tour of backstage and what it takes to make a Pro Tour webcast. Here you see some of the cameras. Here's Renardo and Nikia. They operate those cameras. And we'll come out this way. There you see the players, of course. And here is the round 2 feature match that, of course, is being broadcast right now. There you see King of the Hill, Darwin Castle. 20 years he's been playing on the Pro Tour. There you see Shi Tian and Eric Froehlich at your front table. You see the cameramen who are bringing you all the details. Of course, we've talked about the judges who are watching the webcast and making sure that everything that's going on is fair play. And now we're going to go backstage. So let's go back here and take a look. Okay, so over here we have the text coverage team. They're working on deck lists. They're watching the stream. This is Nate Holt, of course, of Walk the Plains. There you see him. Mike Rosenberg, Trick Jarrett, Mark Calderero, Jake Van Lunen, Corbin Hosler doing text. There's Pro Tour photographer Craig Gibson, just an extraordinary photographer, paying attention to what's going on over here. You see some more. Here we go. Here's some of the meals that get served here. Look at all these plates that they need. You know, got a huge staff to feed. Coming back here, show manager again, Toby Maharis. Here you see everyone watching stream. Keep an eye on it. Oh, look at this. This is the Nico stream. This is Japanese stream. Some pretty impressive players in the booth for the Japanese stream, including Pro Tour champion from Kobe, Masashiro Kuroda. And here's the booth Let's take a look at the booth. There you see Randy Buehler and Marshall Sutcliffe giving you all the action. Come on over here. Give you a little peek into wardrobe. There's Chrissy. Here's a little secret of the Pro Tour. She does our makeup and our wardrobe. Here's the area where all the meals happen. We talked about Craig Gibson. That's his photography studio where he takes all these pictures. And of course, there's Tim, our sound master. He's over there. And then this is the control center for all the coverage. Deb Slater, John Malloy, John Mortensen. And of course, you can't see him because he's doing this backwards. Jack Lipke with the camera. And you know what? We're just doing this all weekend long. And there's a ton of people working behind the scenes to bring you all the action from Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch.
Thanks very much to BDM. Let's wrap you up with some results coming in. Sam Black of USA, number 6 ranked player in the world right now. He is at 2-0, defeated Ireland's Alexander Ball. Let's go round the UK for you a little bit. Eduardo Sajgalik is 2-0. He's got a win there. Fabrizio Anteri, the longtime captain of Team England, he's at 2-0 now. Also Martin Clement of Scotland, the top 8 from the World Magic Cup, got to qualify here. That means all the Scots are here. Vaughan Swift is here, and the guys, so fantastic job by them. Martin Clement at 2-0. Elsewhere, Hall of Famer William Jensen, he's 2-0. He's defeated Andre Strasky, so Strasky falls to 1-1. And a shout out to Dominic Gertsen as well. If you recognise the surname, well, he's the younger brother of Simon Gertsen, former Pro Tour champion and coverage expert, of course, as well. So Dominic is underway with his first Pro Tour win. It's his first PT. Great job to see him here. He's at 1-1. Now, a terrific story for Latin America fans. A lot of people yesterday, BDM tweeted, who would you like us to follow? And we got an avalanche of people saying, we want to follow Alejandro Cesar. I'm like, who? Alejandro Cesar is a 30-year-old Argentinian, and he made it here to his first Pro Tour by finishing 4th at Grand Prix Porto Alegre in Brazil in 2015. So he comes back for his first Pro Tour here, and, well, he is doing the business. He is 2-0. And we've told you a lot about teams. He's on a team, kind of, but it's not a team like any of the others we've talked about. He is on, and I apologize for butchering this, El Bando del Mono Red, which roughly translates as the Mono Red Brotherhood. And the deal is there are about 200 players in El Bando del Mono Red, and they all have to play red decks, not always mono, but red decks in Constructed. So right now, El Bando del Mono Red, 2-0 lifetime at the Pro Tour. Great job by Alejandro Cesar. We'll see who he's playing in round 3, see if we recognise the name. Wouldn't it be great if we could get him in the feature match area? We'll see what we can do. All right, so we had a chance to chat with some of the better-known players here on the eve of the Pro Tour. One of those was Joel Larson, so why don't we hear from him right now?
All right, I am here with Joel Larson now. Joel, it's the day before the Pro Tour here.
Yep.
Walk us through your last week. I know you were in Mexico City with
Correct.
Many of your team members. Tell us what happened.
So we started drafting in Mexico prior to Grand Prix, which is something we usually do. We just take the time before a limited Grand Prix, draft a lot to know the format, and then we test and hone our skills at the Grand Prix, and then we finish it off with the Constructed afterwards that we have already practiced before coming to the actual, to wherever we go. For example, this time Grand Prix Mexico.
What was it like down in Mexico?
Great.
Was it awesome?
Yeah, good food, nice weather. I mean, I'm from Sweden, so it's pretty cold and dark there right now. So it's quite great.
So that felt good.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nice. Did you guys all have a good time as well at the GP? I know I saw some tweets from your team members.
We did very well, I think.
I think you did too.
Yeah, we had some amazing records day one, and I think the only reason we didn't have as many in the top 8 as we could was because we played each other all the time.
Because you kept fighting each other and
at least
knocking each
2
other.
in the top 8.
Yeah, and now you did get 1.
2 in the top 8.
You had 2 in the top 8.
Yeah, 1
and
win.
And
Fabrizio won the event. So.
Yeah, of course, right, because
Yeah.
Anteri's testing with you guys for this. Oh, wow.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
And they played each other in the quarterfinals, so.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
What can you do?
That's bad luck. What about the team in general? You guys feeling confident coming into the Pro Tour here?
I believe so, yes.
Because you guys have been really, you
Yeah.
know, one of the top performing teams.
For sure. We've getting better and better, and yeah, it's just great. We have been testing for what feels for forever for like 2 months before this.
Wow.
So I think we have a good chance here.
How big is the team now?
We're usually around 12, 13, and then we have 2 flex spots that we take in recently qualified players that are not part of the core. So it changes a little bit, but we have a pretty steady core.
And you're all the way maxed out to 15 then?
For this event,
For
yes.
this event, yeah.
Yeah.
But those
Can change.
do
yes.
to know it to change.
Exactly.
All right, I'd like to wish you good luck to
thank
you
you.
and the rest of your team in the tournament.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Joe Larson, such a super addition to the Pro Tour over the last few years. Runner-up at Pro Tour Gatecrash in 2013, and then went one better once again in Canada, Vancouver, where we were last week at the Grand Prix. Well, it is time to get inside the draft viewer, and waiting for us patiently is a tremendous player, multiple World Magic Cup competitor, 2-time Pro Tour top 8, been as far as the final Pro Tour Avicen restored in Barcelona 2012. Here's Brian David Marshall with Gaudenis Vidagiris.